Yo, what's up, dudes? What's up? So I thought today we would come and take a look at this awesome little piece of gear, Bias Head. So I'm sure you've heard of Bias. If you haven't, maybe it's your first day playing guitar, but Bias is one of the most popular software programs for the iOS, the Windows and the Mac platform. Sorry, Android, but you're going to have to get your latency together before it's going to be available on Android. But on iOS and on the Mac and on the PC, Bias Head is one of the most popular pieces of software. And like a lot of that software stuff, people are like, yeah, it's cool, but, I want to gig with it. I want to plug it into a cab. I want to, use it, at a gig or with a drummer. So, there was obviously a need for a hardware-based unit, and this is running 600 solid-state watts. And you're hearing none of it because I'm running out through XLRs to the input on the Focusrite. And that's the cool thing about this, and really why they need a solid state head. If you put a tube amp in this, you'd always need to have a load resistance on it somehow. You'd need to have either a cab or a reactive load box, and that's a hassle. So if you want it to be somewhat of a studio box, a solid state is where to go. And plus, solid state has we all sort of rail against solid state amps, and for good reason. But solid state does have its place, and the one place where it really excels is making things louder super cleanly and very transparently, but you need a boatload of watts to do it, right? The problem with solid state is that when it runs out of its headroom, it doesn't sound very good. So what you have to do is just build in a ton of headroom, and that's why it's 600 watts. And that's pretty common in the industry with the modeling amps, is that they're high wattage solid state amps to sort of take the modeling, which covers everything. It also covers the power amp. So if I went over here and went to this power amp section, I can change these different power amp tubes and get a different tone. If you've gone through all that trouble, running it through a tube power amp doesn't make a lot of sense. So the solid state, is really a smart decision on their part. Also keeps the cost way down. It's in a nice aluminum chassis. I gotta say, just looking at it right here, it looks good. It's not a fingerprint magnet. That's a little something we get from the tech industry, right? How badly does it handle fingerprints? And no fingerprints at all. It's pretty nice. Nice little leather handle here. If you just want to go over the amp, I'll start at the back from left to right. You have the power output. And again, like I said, it's 600 watts at 8 ohms. It's, I believe, 300 watts at 16 ohms. You have a set of balanced left and right outputs and a set of unbalanced left and right outputs. And that has a ground lift. Thank you. A headphone out, and then an effects loop, which also has a ground lift. And then we have MIDI in, out, and through, a pair of foot switch jacks, USB port, a wireless button, which allows you to start up the wireless program and connect to the unit wirelessly, either through your smartphone or whatever your PC. And then the last is a little bit of utility. One's like a serial parallel switch, and the other's like a foot switch recalibration switch. Just going down the front of the unit, the bottom row is all your standard stuff, gain and bass, middle, treble, presence. You'll notice it has both master and output, because like I said, the master is sort of modeled. So if we go back here to the tone, if we go to that's sort of like one distortion level. And that's adding more distortion. It's not just slightly louder. It really is changing the tone of it. So in many ways, the master is more like a tone knob, right? And maybe even a gain knob to some degree, and to a huge degree. And then lastly is the output, which is the actual volume of the unit, right? And then the top row is really more for just software specific amp. It's really just a bias, a specific row at the top. Things like, whether you're at the clean, the crunch, or the metal amp, and then, which of those amps are you at, and they're numbered 1 through 5. And then there's like a gain stage and, things like that. And then really you get into the topology, things like the output tube topology and how that's set up. And then the last knob here is a custom knob. You can set it up for whatever you want. You can just assign that knob. And this last little switch is a cool switch, one I'm glad to see on here. It's a cab on or off for the simulated cab. So I need the simulated cab on, but if you were going into a cab, it would be, you'd have 2 cabs, and it would sound muddy. So you need to turn this off. And of course, you could go into your iPad or your iPhone or whatever and call up the software and turn it off, but that sounds like a bit of a hassle. So I like that they built a hardware switch right on the front. It's under 20 pounds. I think it's about 17 pounds, so not too bad. And there you have it. I think that's everything about the hardware. Did not come with a foot switch. It did come with a USB cable and the the D plug to plug it in, and a couple of adapters for alternative nation plugs, from for other countries. And I think that's it on the hardware. Mainly what bias is the software, which you can see up in the up in the recorder window. Let's go through a couple of the amps here. So I think we're at blues. Let's try this. Now you might be hearing a little bit of a room there. I do have room control on. There it is off. I like it with a little bit. When you're with a band and you're having it through a cab, you kind of do like that off. But just running straight in through here, it's almost a little too dry. I like this room control. And of course, there's also like a noise gate and, all kinds of hum reduction and nice little, what I would call rack goodies, right? Pre and post amp rack goodies. Let's try another amp here. Let's see, we'll do the... I'll go right to this, like... Let's bring some of that. I think I was trying to go for a heavier sound and I accidentally clicked on a lighter one. Let's try the British Lead 100. Oh yeah, now you're talking. That's a good one. So this one definitely not nearly as mid-push. A little brighter. That's a good one too. I think those were Crunch. Let's try this Highway just because we're here. We'll crank it up. Boy, that sounds nicer. That was a little sloppy, but what can you do? That's another great one, the RB 101B. Let's get this game. Another one pretty good. And then we'll finish out with a little bit of, I don't know, you want to do like, we'll do, I don't know, you want to try the Insane 5150? Oh, yeah, see, so this is definitely a little beefier. All right. Let's try maybe one of these. Yeah, see, I like that a lot more. Anyway, so there's a few amps. Why don't we end off? I've played like nothing but distorted. I'll go up to the clean. And we'll end on a clean. Let's do the... and maybe one more of the clean. You know, just to try a few out. Maybe like the British 900. Yeah, I like that. Nice and full. I've got it cranked up. Well, I said, sounds great. All right, dudes, I'll leave a link to the product down in the description. And go check it out. And as always, thanks so much for stopping by. And rock on.